Thank you, Alan. Thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome, Antonio, and I'm pleased to be with you, and I also am an admirer of your work to capture project and program management.
Thank you, Alan. Let me start quickly on a bit your trajectory, Alan. Everybody knows what you've achieved, but when you were a kid, did you want to be the CEO of Boeing and then later on Ford? What did you want to be when you were a kid?
Well, one of the things I wanted to be was an astronaut. And when I was in high school, first part of college, President Kennedy announced that we were going to go to the moon, and they were looking for some people with the right stuff to go to the moon. And it was very compelling to me because he described the things we'd learned by going to the moon, technically, but also the things that we'd learned that would help make life better on Earth. So I joined the Air Force and I learned to fly, and I found out that I had a color blindness, which I wasn't qualified because the first lunar landings were going to be manual. So I finished my education in aeronautical and astronautical engineering. And then I found my dream to go to work as an airplane designer at Boeing.
Wow. And you made your whole career in Boeing?
Yes, I had the honor to serve on the design team for every Boeing airplane. So the 707, 727, 737, 747, 757, 767. Then they asked me to serve as the chief engineer and the leader of the 777 airplane. And then as the CEO of Boeing, I helped launch the 787. So all the seats that are flying in the world today, over 60, 70% of all the seats that are flying are in a Boeing airplane. So it's quite an honor to get people together around the world.
What an achievement. And Alan, that means that you've been leading projects a big time of your career. And was there anything you learned? What kind of approaches you were taking at Boeing? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, sure. So I've summarized all the lessons I've learned on the simple document that I sent to you, and it's titled Skilled and Motivated Teams Working Together, Principles and Practices. And everything that I've learned over the last 37 years at Boeing and also 8 years at Ford are on that one piece of paper. And so the big points is to include everybody. It's all about people. And so it's kind of really saying, love them up, appreciate them so much, because you have all these talented people around the world that are working. Everybody needs to be included. Come together around a compelling vision for what the airplane or the program or the business is, a strategy for achieving it, and also a relentless implementation plan. And that's where the business plan review comes from. Then, of course, clear performance goals, having one plan, using facts and data. And the biggest one, Antonio, probably is that everybody knows the plan, everybody knows the status, and everybody knows the areas need special attention. And that's where the business plan review comes in. And then, of course, the behaviors of positive, can-do, find-a-way attitude, respect each other, help each other, appreciate each other, maintain your emotional resilience, and also have fun. So enjoy the journey of what you're doing and enjoy each other. And a corollary to that last one is never humor, Antonio, at anybody else's expense.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that people will go along to get along. But when you want an environment where people can share the reds and the yellows and the areas need special attention and then work together to turn the reds to yellows to green, it has to be a safe environment where people know they're going to be respected, and then they'll be able to share what's really going on. Because if they don't share, then you're managing a secret. You really can't program manage it. So that's probably having fun and enjoying the journey in each other is probably the foundation for all of the behaviors.
And then you set also quite ambitious goals. I think that's part of your leadership, probably, of getting people focused, and a bit of pressure is always good, I guess.
Well, I think so. And it's really kind of a positive pressure too, because for example, on airplanes, when you design a new airplane, a commercial airplane has around 4 million parts. And you take the 777, it's the most sophisticated product in the world because it carries 200 to 300 people halfway around the world. It's the safest transportation system ever. And of course, you actually make these commitments to the airlines and the traveling public, and then you deliver the performance, the reliability, the maintainability, the producibility, the affordability. You deliver all those commitments on a schedule 5 years in advance. The airlines are actually paying the progress payments along the way. They already have the tickets sold. They have their routes all in place. So you're actually creating this 4 million parts in this airplane on a schedule that is like scheduled program management innovation. So that's the pressure in itself. But on the other hand, you can imagine what that does to enable talented people to actually work together to create these fabulous products.
And Alan, one thing I noticed when I saw some of your videos, and I will share this information afterwards, but you go deep into the details as well. So you have the experts, but you understand very well the business, both in Boeing and later on in Ford. And the second part, which I admire a lot, is you have this business sense. You look at figures, financials, headcount, profit, something that we don't do very often. We just deliver, but we miss that business part. So can you tell us a bit more about that side?
Oh, sure. I think that's a great question, especially the way you asked it, because just kind of starting at the basics, the fundamental of business, the fundamental is to deliver profitable growth for all the shareholders, all the stakeholders, not just the shareholders, but everybody associated with the enterprise. So that, like in Boeing's case or Ford's case, the people that drive the vehicles or ride on the airplanes, the customers, the airlines themselves, the Ford stores around the world, also the investors, are all your partners, your suppliers, all the employees. So the only way to have a viable business and a sustainable business is to create a business that is growing profitably, because then you get to continue to make the products and services that people want and value, and you keep improving your quality and productivity every year. So what's neat about it is it's just a design job, right? Yeah. All we're doing is creating a viable business, just like we're creating a viable airplane or viable cars and trucks. So it's not just me that knows it, but everybody on the team knows where we are on the plan to deliver profitable growth with our products and services, and where we are on our efficiency. It's fun because not only are you making great products, but you're creating a business that's sustainable, that's going to provide great jobs for a lot of people, contribute to the economy, and contribute to energy independence and security and sustainability.
And Alan, you had to sometimes lay off people. That's the more difficult part, I guess, somebody like you. What's the approach? I heard that you try to still make it in a nice way, positive way, but I know you've gone through this massively, and it's a difficult part.
It really is, because when you work together this way, you become very close with each other. I mean, a lot of respect of course, it's based on respect for people and respect for each other and enjoying each other. And the thing that I have found is the most important thing is to be transparent and as honest as you can about what the situation is. Mm-hmm. For example, at Boeing, when we had the terrorist attack of 9/11, none of us ever thought that a commercial airplane would be used as a weapon. No one imagined that, and it completely changed our world. And those are Boeing airplanes that were involved. And of course, the travel degraded tremendously after that because people were concerned. And so our production at Boeing actually went from over 680 airplanes to maybe 240 in the following year. And no company that I know of can keep going with that kind of a throughput going revenue. So we shared it with everybody. We had to match our production to the real demand. And as you pointed out, the only way to save the company too was to reduce all of our expenses, including a lot of the members of our team. On the other hand, because we did that, we saved the company. We actually continued to invest in the new products. And so now we were able to hire our employees back. And the alternative to that is, if you don't match your production to the real demand, then you'll go bankrupt and you'll be out of business. So as hard as it is, I just found that sharing it with everybody and with compassion and thoughtfulness and empathy, and help people find other jobs and move on with grace, and then be able to come back later and do what they love doing.
Mm. It's nice. You're not afraid of taking the difficult decisions or confronting the most challenging problem. I think that's a characteristic I see on you as well.
Well, I think that again, it's such a roadmap, and it's such a compelling vision to create a sustainable business. And so just keeping that in mind, you're only going to do that if you make products and services that people really want and they value, they'll pay for, and you improve our quality and our productivity every year, and do that together and include everybody.
And Alan, going a bit deeper on the 777 project or program, I noticed that you introduced, maybe it was before, but when I read it, it was, wow, you engaged the stakeholders in the project, like the customers, they had to put some part of the budget,
Yes.
the providers too. So can you just tell us a bit more on that approach? Because I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely. So one of the reasons I believe that Boeing has been successful over the years is that on every airplane program, and especially on the 777, we've always included the airlines in the actual design of the airplane, because they have so much knowledge about how to operate the airplane and how it's going to be used, and the reliability requirements and the maintainability requirements, and how they're going to take care of it, how they're going to fly the airplane, how they're going to maintain the airplane. So we actually invite the airlines that want to participate in the launch of the vehicle to join the team. And it's really funny, Antonio, because at the first, some of the airlines will say, well, I don't want to be in the same room with our competitor. And if I'm going to share all of my knowledge with you in front of the competitor, that can put me at a competitive disadvantage. And I remember one of the airlines in one of the early meetings said, and we had like 12 of the world's best airlines in the same room. And one of the airline leaders said, okay, here's the deal. We want to help Boeing build the best airplane in the world. When we get that best airplane in the world, because we've all contributed to it, then we can compete as airlines. But what we want, all of us want, is the best airplane in the world. And that just broke the ice. From then on, everybody was willing to share their ideas from how the airplane operates, how we fly the airplanes. I'll give you another example. One little simple example. In the laboratory, on the toilet seat, it scares passengers when any kind of noise they hear on an airplane. So if the lid comes down because you're maybe hit a little bit of rough air and it slams on the bowl, then everybody gets concerned. So we put a little inertial reel in the back of the toilet so that the toilet lid seat comes down and the lid catches up with it, and they both provide very quiet service onto the bowl. And people look at that and they've told us, my gosh, if these Boeing engineers pay that much attention to that toilet, think of what the flight control system looks like, and the structures and the avionics. So again, the depth of the knowledge that we're able to incorporate in that innovation by utilizing all of the airlines' best practices around the world actually resulted in the airplane being what it is today.
For me, that's a game changer in the way of doing projects. Alan, what was the most difficult part in that 7-7 program? What was the thing that was the toughest to come through?
Well, I really kind of don't think of it in those terms, Antonio, because when you operate with these principles and practices, it's all out in the open. So it's not a problem. It's a gem when somebody has an issue, because it's a gem, because now you know what the issue is, and you're also recognizing that this is an invention, and it's going to be an iterative process, and that's what engineering and design and manufacturing are about. So it's almost like you're legitimizing the process of project or program management. And so it's not that's all going to go right on the plan. It means that you have a process to uncover the areas that need special attention, and you have a culture where everybody's going to share the areas that need special attention and work together that turns the red to yellows to greens. So it's almost like we can't wait to get to the business plan review every week to see what the colors changed and what we need to work on, and because now we know that's part of the process, and we have legitimized program and project management and adapting to all of the changes that you're naturally going to see going forward.
Wow. If you
Isn't that
are
great?
amazing. No, because every people talking around projects, they say, yeah, we have so many problems, and the way you look at this is so fresh and so constructive, and we have challenges, but together we solve them.
And that's what program and project management is about. And you can see, like to your point earlier, whether it's a product or whether it's managing a business, and whether it's Boeing, whether it's Ford, whether it's your personal life or your family life. I mean, it's all going to come together if we adopt working together principles and practices, and come together on that vision, the strategy for achieving it, and then that relentless implementation plan where we deal with the issues and turn the reds to yellows to greens and deliver all of our commitments on plan.
I love that. I think this deserves a book.
Well, there have been a lot of things written about it, and you have authored a number of them. So I think you're the one reason I wanted to support you is that you've dedicated your life to program and project management, and
yes,
I really think it's the future, and it's business, because it's going to be business that actually keeps us moving forward by making products and services that people want and value.
And Alan, how did you take this approach to Ford, a very, very different business and different culture from what I read, very, very different culture. So
here's, Antonio, here's what I did. Here's my working together principles and practices. The same piece of paper that you have. It's the only piece of paper that I took with me to Ford when Bill Ford called and asked me to join. And so I started right at the top. I got all the team together, selected business unit leaders for around the world, Asia Pacific, Europe, and in the United States, and North and South America. And then we started the business plan review. We came together around a compelling vision, and we actually decided on Henry Ford's original vision of opening the highways to all mankind, of making the best cars and trucks in the world and making them available to everybody. And then we agreed on a strategy for achieving it. So we're going to focus on the Ford brand. We divested all the other brands that we had. We agreed that we're going to have a complete family of vehicles, from the Fiesta, the Focus, the Fusion, the Taurus, the Mustang, the Escape, the Edge, the Flex, the Ranger, the F-Series, the E-Series, the Transit, and the Cargo. And that set of vehicles, that family, serves all the markets, small, medium, and large cars, utilities, and trucks around the world. We also agreed that every Ford vehicle from when I got there on would be the best in class in quality, fuel efficiency, safety, smart design, connectivity. And we agreed we're going to size our production to the real demand. We took out a small home improvement loan of $23.5 billion to finance the restructuring, but also to invest in all the new cars and trucks. And most importantly, we agreed that we were going to work together as one team worldwide. All the Fords around the world were going to come together around one Ford with one team and one plan to deliver profitable growth for.
And what was the reaction of the management team at the beginning, Alan?
Well, clearly we spent a lot of time, Antonio, talking about these principles and practices. And what I have found over the years, the most important thing is to spend the time to really understand not only the process of program and project management, but also the behaviors that we are going to expect of each other, the way we treat each other. And so what I found is all you have to do is start the business plan review every week. Everybody's there. Everybody's starting to show their part of the plan, the status against the plan, and the areas need special attention. And then they color code them, and they didn't know what that meant, Antonio. How do you color code a red? Because in the Ford culture, like a lot of companies, you never bring a problem to your supervisor unless you have a solution. So now, as Deming would say, you're managing a secret. You have no idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. So we got it down to about 300 charts with our 12 members of our team. And it's going pretty well, except all the charts are green. And they know now, and I know, because we've shared it, that we're going to lose $17 billion for the year in profits. I know. And so I stopped the meeting one time and I said, early on, I said, so you guys, you know we're going to lose $17 billion. Is there anything in your area of responsibility that's not going well, that there's a problem? And of course, the eye contact goes down to the floor. Well, a couple of weeks later, the leader of the Americas had a problem with an actuator on the lift gate of the new Edge that was being launched in Oakville, Canada. He stopped production, like we agreed to. Only the finest quality would be delivered. And then he switched the color on his launch chart to red.
Wow.
Red for financial impact, for functionality, and for schedule compliance. Red, red, red. So the next day in the business plan review, everybody's connected worldwide, and up comes this red chart. I mean, the air was sucked out of the room. And so Mark said he has this problem. He doesn't have a solution yet, but we're working on it. So I started to clap. And everybody in that room, Antonio, knew that was a sign. The two doors behind me were going to open up. Two large human beings are going to come in and extract him from the meeting because he had a red. I said, Mark, that is great visibility. What can we do as a team to help you out right away? And Derek Kuzak was leading engineering, said, no, I've seen that issue on such and such. I'll get that data over to you right away. Same comment from Benny Fowler, who was leading quality worldwide. And then Joe Hendricks said, who was leading manufacturing, said, you know, you're going to need some manufacturing engineers in Oakville to switch out the parts and get it going again. I'll get them identified and get them up to Oakville right away. And that took like 8 or 9 seconds. And we went on to the next green chart. Next week, they're all green again, except for his one red chart. A couple of weeks later, it turned to yellow. They had a solution. A couple of weeks later, it turned to green. And all the vehicles started flowing around the world. Guess what the colors of the 300 charts look like the following week? Not all red, Antonio, because there's always a lot of things going well, as you know, in program management. But it looked like a rainbow. And right there, Antonio, they knew, and I knew, that we were going to trust this process of working together and these principles and practices, and we were going to treat the issues as gems and work together to turn the reds to yellows and green, and we were on our way.
Wow. It's like the tipping point when this happened. Oh, wow.
Exactly. And whether we had tsunamis in Asia Pacific where half our production was underwater, or the bankruptcy of our major competitors, GM and Chrysler, or whether the worst financial crisis we've ever had in the United States since the recession, that we knew that if we could continue to work together and met every week and shared the plan, the status, and the areas of special attention, that we were going to be okay. And we were, and we were the only ones that did not ask for or take precious taxpayer money during the worst financial crisis we've ever had.
I love this kind of weekly meeting where you get all together. I heard that from Steve Jobs. He was doing that in Apple too. It's like something that puts people together, transparency, not hundreds of meetings, but just one very good one.
That's really a good point, Antonio, because it's not to solve the problem in the business plan review. It's to ensure that everybody's at the table, everybody is sharing their contribution, their plan for the overall plan, and that everybody knows the areas need special attention. Then we have 4 other meetings that will run one a week that'll deal with the areas need special attention, where we work the issue, get the decisions made, and then they'll get incorporated in the business plan review. And I don't know very many people that do that or appreciate the power of that. And you want everybody on the team there, and it only takes 2 hours. And we actually invite guests, Antonio. We invite guests to sit around the room where we are, and also in all of the conference rooms around the world where everybody is networked in, so they can see it, they can see their part of it, and then they can help cascade that up and down to the entire organization.
Well, I just get so excited from what you say, Alan, because it's like you're making something that you can share, where usually it's hidden, these leaders, it's all secret, and you get guests. And I can imagine this is part of how you reach to the whole company, because I know that Ford people loved you, Boeing people loved you, so this is part of it, right?
Well, I think it goes absolutely, Antonio. It goes back to that very first principle on the working together principles and practices, people first. And that's code for love them up. These are human beings. They're talented. They want to contribute to making a cathedral, not just to get a salary. And they want to be appreciated for their great work. And they really want to know, where are we what is the plan? Where are we on the plan? And what can we do to help each other accomplish this compelling vision? And I think it's the most respectful thing you can do as a leader in a leadership team, is to create this environment. It's not only smart, but it's also very healthy, because all the politics go away, everybody's concerns go away, because now you're celebrating the issues in a positive way, and you're making progress on creating whatever your compelling vision in the cathedral that you're making.
Mm. Alan, last question, because I could spend hours talking to you. It's so insightful. What would you recommend to a project manager or an engineer who's doing projects, and what kind of skills do they need to develop to have a career path like yours, to keep evolving? What are the skills that you see in the future too?
Oh, sure. Well, I think appreciating the way we all grow up and in our lifelong learning, we usually have selected a technical or a functional path. It could be engineering, it could be manufacturing, finance, legal, communications. And then over time, there'll always be opportunities for us, and people will want us to lead multifunctions. And so my first piece of advice is, be the very best that you can be in your functional discipline, and then keep looking about how your function fits into the overall business, because it really is these talented people with these diverse backgrounds and diversity on their functions. So be the best you can be, and then lifelong learning over every year, learning and getting better and better. Then look for the opportunities to help integrate the functions. And then that's where you'll get into supervision, into management, and just appreciate how the functions work together to create something that no one function can do by itself. And then really get in tune with what the leader does. And the leader is not going to be the expert in any one of those functions. The leader now is going to turn their attention to what we've been talking about. What is the compelling vision? What's the strategy for achieving it? What's our relentless implementation plan? How do you run a business plan review? It's not you talking. I talk the least in a business plan review, because I'm facilitating the meeting. I'm ensuring that everybody is listening, paying attention, they're following the behaviors. We're getting the issues out in the open, and we're getting them all scheduled in the special attention. And that is a leadership skill that every one of us can learn. And it's not widely taught. And so you combine that with fundamental program and project management skills, and you can use it, whether it's a project or a program, or it's a business, or it's a CEO, or it's countries working together. Those principles and practices of working together are good for everything. And that'd be the things that I would stress if you like doing this kind of work. And it is really, really fun, as you know.
Yeah, I know it. Well, Alan, I don't want to take too much time. I see when I listen to you, in the 90s and 20s, the people were talking about Jack Welch at GE. What I see is that the new leader, the new CEO, it should be like you, Alan. It's the future. It's putting people together, being transparent, creating the culture, being focused on execution. I think you are the Jack Welch of our times.
Well, Antonio, that's very nice of you to say. What I know, a few things I learned from my mother. One is the purpose of life. She used to tell me every day, now remember, the purpose of life is to love and be loved, in that order. And then the next day, Antonio, she'd say, well, you remember that, to serve is to live. And then the next day she'd say, well, honey, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So it really is about talented people working together and doing something for the good for the greater good.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alan.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Keep leading.
Thank you.
Okay.